Get started. Welcome, everyone. We are really glad that you were able to join us for today's Wednesday webinar series with Parsec. Every Wednesday at 10, as a reminder, we bring together voices from education to share what's working in their school and hopefully spark an idea that you can walk away with and take back to yours. So for our next 30 minutes, we have 3 fun rules. The first one is to enjoy the conversation and the presentation. The second is to walk away with at least one new insight or idea. And the third is to make a meaningful connection. So as a reminder, my name is Shay. I'm the community manager at Parsec Education. And we really want to make sure that this webinar and this time together is really a conversation, right? So keep your video on if you can, and don't hesitate to share your thoughts and questions in the chat, and our wonderful Kim will be pointing them out. So as a reminder, last week, we had Liana Pellegrino from Golden Charter Academy. She talked about how their school builds connection with their students within the first 9 days of school. She talked about the success of their community circle and their home visits and how it really sets the stage for the rest of the school year. And you can find the video recording on our YouTube, which will be linked in the chat. And then next week, we have the amazing Dr. Ramiro Rubalcaba. He is superintendent of Los Nietos in LA. He's going to be talking about how he brought these really fun activities to help with attendance and suspension rates, but also strengthen his family engagement within his school district. So super excited for him to come on next week. And before we get into our webinar today, I want to just take some time and shout out any first-time guests. So if you are a first-time guest, this is your first time attending a webinar, if you could put a 1 in the chat, that would be amazing. Kim, are there any first-time guests?
Yes, we have Amy, and I am so going to butcher this, and I'm very sorry, but I'm going to say Quack.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're glad to have you on our webinar today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. And then with that, I'm excited to introduce today's speaker, which is Dr. Amy Alzina. She's superintendent of Cold Springs School District, which is one of the top performing districts in California. She also serves as chair of ACTS's AI task force. Amy is a true trailblazer in TK through 12 education, and she's a huge leading voice in bringing AI into schools in ways that make learning more personalized and impactful. But beyond her superintendent role, she's board member of AXA and also Small School Districts Association, where she helps statewide conversations on innovation and equity. And throughout her career, she has been recognized for her commitment to excellence, equity, and preparing students for the future. Today, she'll be walking through her district's AI implementation plan, how they're preparing students to use AI safely and responsibly, and the policies that they put into place to protect data and ensure equity. And with that, Amy, I am very excited to kick it off to you. We're grateful to have you on today's webinar, and I'm excited for you to share with our partners the amazing work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for that warm introduction. Wow. All right, everyone. It's a small group, and my hope is that that you walk away with an aha moment or something that you can take tangible back to your district. And so I know time is short. So normally this presentation is an hour. So I feel like this is going to be like speed dating. You're going to get the Cliff Note version. So, and I know we're all super busy in that space, but I think, we all have a journey in the space of AI, and I think it's important for you guys to know my journey began with Adam Brotman, who was a Cold Spring parent. He also co-authored the book AI First with Andy Sack. And I was just fortunate for him to be a parent of Cold Spring School and to learn from him and what it means to have an AI first mindset. We sat down together right when OpenAI first came out, as well with Christian Jackson, who many of you guys know throughout the state and the nation, and the work that he's doing to support districts. So I think, if you're looking for a great resource to start with, I highly suggest everybody read this book. I mean, I was privy to each chapter as he was writing it. But I've reread this book probably now 3 times. And one of my favorite chapters is chapter 5. And he talks about in chapter 5 how if you're going to have an AI first mindset, how important it is to have a growth mindset and lean thinking, right? And we know that in education. And we talk about that all the time. But what does lean thinking to me mean in education is, our customers are our students. And so how are we really iterating cycles of build, measure, and learn? And we're constantly utilizing AI and technology to do that at Cold Spring School. And it is why we not only have over 95% proficiency, but 87% of our students advanced because we're creating these project-based experiences for our students. So here's one example. I brought this from my STEAM teacher. This is hot off the press. This is last year's 4th grade model. It's cardboard. The students created a circuit. It lights up, right, at the different land regions on here. And now this year, we've put it into now something that they'll actually be able to keep. It looks much nicer. We reiterated it, again, following the standards. On the back will be the circuit. So that's just an example, and I'm sure you guys have those same examples in your district as well of what does it mean to have lean thinking in your district? And how do we support innovation? What is it that our teachers need to be innovative and creative? So I could go on and on about that, but I won't. Before you create a strategic plan, you first have to lay the foundation. And the foundation begins with superintendents as the CEO. I can't tell you how many times I've heard as a small school district superintendent that, well, that works for you because you're a small school district superintendent. I'm a large school district superintendent. I don't have time. Well, I'm going to tell you, you have to have time. And I learned this from Adam, and if large scale Fortune 500 CEOs of businesses and companies, if they are taking the time to be AI first leaders, superintendents, large or small, we have to take the time. We're the CEOs of our company. We have to be AI first. And what does that look like? And we talk about AI literacy all the time, but really, I love this model that Adam has in his book. It's literacy, proficiency, and fluency. Laying the foundation with just basic prompting, right? Just get your team on board, play around with the basic prompting, using it to help you write simple emails and newsletters. But the way we talk about it at Cold Spring is it starts with the human, it goes to AI, and then it goes back to the human. So it's human, AI, and human. That's easy to remember, right? You never just put it into AI and say, ta-da, there you go, right? And then the proficiency level of what we've gotten really good at is creating lessons. There's a lot of companies out there that say you could use our platform to create lessons. Well, if you know how to prompt really well and you know what the students' needs are because you're utilizing your student data to drive instruction and most importantly to motivate student learning, then you can create these lessons like I just shared right now to really move your students forward. And then where I use AI all the time as a thought partner, right? How are we utilizing AI to make decisions? And I have a daughter who's 20, she's in college, and she was struggling with an assignment. It's a philosophy assignment. She goes, I don't understand what they're saying. And so I said, okay, well, let's take the reading. Let's put it into ChatGPT. Let's explain to them this type of student that you are. You're a volleyball player, you're a film and television major. Relate this to what I know, which it did. And then I said, now let's take that information and now let's drop it into Notebook LM. Let's now create a video where you can actually see it. And she's like, oh my God, now I get it. Right. And that's the power, I think, of AI because we want to have that growth mindset. We want to learn, but how are we utilizing AI to really help our students retain that information at so many levels? And then here's a great example of the AI, human, and AI. This is the first 8 days of school at Cold Spring School. This is literally day 8. We are Franklin Covey 7 Habits School. We start off with everybody creating their personal mission statement, and then we do classroom mission statements. And so everybody contributed to their classroom mission statement. We taught them how we could utilize AI to have everybody's voice and refine that classroom mission statement. And then from there, you go back and you say, okay, how can we revise that? From there, the students then, in their STEAM classroom, it was laser cut. And so every one of these panels is a different, unique classroom. We are the Cold Spring Dolphins. We're leading with purpose or purpose, right? And in the art classroom, each one of those dolphins is represents their personal mission statement. Is it music? Is it art? What is it that drives you and motivates you? So not only is this mural that's outside of one of those ugly portable classrooms that we all have, right? So easy for us to showcase student art and showcase, more importantly, how we're utilizing AI to amplify our voices. It's not to replace our voice, it's to amplify our voice. And so I think the more opportunities we can do to show student voice, the more our parents will come beside us and be like, oh, it's not just teaching our kids how to cheat. No, we're teaching it how to be creative and innovative in the world of AI. So with that, does anybody have an example that they might want to share how they're utilizing AI to amplify their student voice? Don't all raise your hand at once. Okay, moving along. Now, once you've laid a foundation, once you know, again, I believe firmly you can't lead if you don't know where you're going. You can't coach a track team if you never ran a day in your life, right? And so, again, once you have like this firm understanding, then you can start to begin to create an AI implementation plan. And think about all the different tools that you're currently utilizing in your district to support personalized learning. You know, you may be utilizing, for us, it was Freckle, Renaissance Learning's Freckle, right, which is adaptive. We use Khan Academy as well. So think about what you're currently utilizing in that space of personalized learning. And also in creatives. And I bet from there, you'll be like, okay, we can create a pretty comprehensive plan. So our vision is also around this. We understand there has to be this sense of urgency and opportunity for our kids as we move along. So what you'll see is in our plan, you'll also see digital literacy and well-being lessons as well when we use common sense media, and then the policies and governance as well. And again, we all know this. You guys are here because you guys understand AI is, you know, I don't know about you, but again, I have a senior in college and a senior in high school. I want them off mom's payroll. We want them to be independent, right? We want them to have a job. We want them to be able to understand the tools that they need to be successful as they move on in that future, right? And so what does it look like as we move forward? So we need to empower our students to think critically. I think those critical learning skills are so essential as we move forward, and that hands-on learning. How are we enhancing our current education? Again, it's not replacing. And then the real power of how we really got our teachers on board was the professional development that, you know, I have with my teachers. So as soon as I learn something new, like for example, this summer or the last, I learned Lovable, how to vibe code and create apps. And so in August, I was like, oh my goodness, look at, we created a 7 Habits app, and they were so excited, and they got to, you know, like if they see that they can be creative with these tools and that you don't need to know code, you can actually vibe code, and it's just using large language. They get excited. And then when they get excited, that excitement, as we all know, fosters that innovative spirit that we want in our teams. And then I have always tried to model that I'm not perfect. And when I make a mistake, what does it look like? And also modeling, I think, the biases within AI too. So I use Storybook with before school to really teach my students, but also teach my teachers on what does it mean to create a personal mission statement. And I used it through the journey of Cold Spring School. And I said I wanted Disney animation, and I prompted it. But in there, I've highlighted some of the biases that I saw in the storybook. I said, look, did you notice when you walk in the STEAM room, all the students in the STEAM room are boys? Right? And when you walk in the art classroom, they're all girls. And I told my teachers, I was tempted to want to change that, but I want you to use this video because I want I want you to highlight, have your students identify the biases within that space, right? So oftentimes I think we want to hide them and leave them there and have the students identify them in just applications that teachers are creating and working with. So here's my plan for Cold Spring School District. And again, it's empowering students, supporting educators, and leading with heart. And what does that look like? And I'm just going to stroke right through it. It's so I think a really easy platform too for us is the Google Workspace. Every educator, every student, probably in your district has a Gmail account. But not every educator knows how to use Notebook LM. Not everyone knows how to use Gemini. Not everyone knows the Storybook feature. I mean, if you just started with those three, that's a great learning opportunity. I met with somebody who is gives presentations around the nation about AI, and I said, look, it's so important that they just understand the basics. And again, Google's a great workspace, and his response to me was, superintendents don't need to know what teachers are doing. And I thought, oh Lord, yes, you do. Again, right? You need to know what it is that teachers are doing so you can support them, right? If I wasn't in the STEAM classroom, I wouldn't know to support my STEAM teacher with, he needs wood, right? He needs some circuits and he needs them tomorrow, not in a month from tomorrow, right? So that's a really easy space. And then some guiding principles, just around safe and responsible use, right? Having it aligned to your LCAP goals, I think is important as well. And the equitable piece, access for all. And again, I go back to the human-centered innovation. We start with human, we go to AI, and we go to human, right? And then these are the components that you see in here as well, the teaching and learning, the literacy, the professional learning, parent communication, and the responsible use in governments, and that's the policy piece of it. So if you go start with the AI enhanced learning, probably a lot of us have Clever. We use Clever as a portal. This is what, if you were to open up Clever right now, you would see Canva in there, right? For creativity. You would see Adobe in there as well. We use Adobe Express for creativity, Adobe Illustrator. We use Renaissance Learnings, Freckle, like I mentioned, Khan Academy in there. So these are just what are we utilizing for personalized learning? So we have personalized learning, we have creativity, and we have right the productivity piece of it as well. And then what is working, right? And I think that's important. Everybody's wanting to sell us everything right now. And so what are some research-based methods that are working out there? And so here's our AI literacy for students. We want them to know how it works, right? And it's and what are its limits as well, and how to prompt. I think that is so important, where there's to critically evaluate. We talked about that, and that ethical use as well. And then you're going to have AI first leaders, right? And I think that's important. Some people like to have like what's called an AI council. Some people like to have like a team, a leadership team. I've been in a bigger district. I was in Santa Barbara Unified for 18 years. I served as a principal there for 11 and assistant superintendent with about 15,000 students. And so, yeah, you have your district level cabinet, right? That is going to maybe move that needle along. But I think, again, empowering your principals, your site administrators to be AI first and to be innovative in that space is so critical. And then parent communication. So, having parent workshops. So that's what I'll do at back to school night. I didn't share my AI implementation plan because that's just boring. What I shared was, how are we utilizing AI at Cold Spring School, right? I talked about our student mission statements. I talked about the mission statements that they just walked past. So showcasing what you're doing is so important. And then the governance, what is it, your AI policy, and what does that look like in that integration as well? And then, is it what you're doing really moving the needle for academic achievement, right? So, you can imagine, as the highest academic performing district in the state, with AI coming on board, I was a little hesitant, right? Like, okay, is this going to like tank my test scores, right? If we're providing 20 minutes a day of personalized learning, utilizing some of these tools, even though I sat down, I was like, okay, it's a personalized tutor. We know personalized learning. We know students need to be working in their zone of proximal development, right? We know those are best practices. What are we doing? Let's just enhance those. Let's just crank them up a little bit, right? We were already doing good work. And like I said, when you have 87% of your students scoring advanced and they were at 52% 3 years ago, something's moving that needle, right? And so what we're moving our students not only to proficiency, but advanced because they're applying their knowledge. It's not just the personalized learning, what we talk about oftentimes in the space of AI. It's really looking at how are they creating these enhanced project-based learning experiences. And that's what is challenging because you really have to have trust amongst your teachers. We have our STEAM teacher or create, we call them our innovation teacher. And then we have our art teacher, which we call our creativity teacher, our music teacher. How are we creating integrated project-based learning experiences for our students when we see, guess what? They don't know X and Y coordinates. They're really struggling in fifth grade and understanding that. We know that positive integers is going to get a student to grade level, but if they want to score advanced, we also got to make sure that they know that negative integers. Okay, knowing that, what projects are we going to create? Oh, well, we learned how to play the ukulele in fifth grade. They love that. What about if they designed a ukulele that was personal to them in the shape of a strawberry or shape of an avocado? It's not just a cookie cutter. Here's the ukulele. We are personalizing it so everybody has their personal ukulele. On the back, another fifth grade standard is simile and metaphors. Let's have them add a simile and metaphor on the back, right? How many kids can't remember the difference between a simile and metaphor? Have them create it on the back, integrate it with English language arts, have them go to art class now and have them sand it, have them design it. Now you have it. Now they're going to perform it for their spring showcase for their parents. Now you have this robust project that really is integrated and that now students fully understand X and Y coordinates. It's not just, hey, rote memorization on paper. And I think that's the power with like Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Express, right? And making sure our kids are knowing how to utilize those tools. Again, we're elementary. I'm TK through 6. Think the power that this can be as you continue to move the needle for 7th, 8th, and high school, right? And creating an academy with an academy in that space. You know, the Alpha School's doing great work. I went and visited their school site. It's amazing. But that shouldn't be private school where you just have to pay $50,000 a year. It should be available for everyone, right? Everyone should have that opportunity. So think about, again, what is it that you're utilizing? I think if you had to start somewhere, start with the Adobe Suite. Start with one of those laser cut printers. They're $1,500. We now have 6 of them, so the kids are having control. They're laser cutting themselves. It's not an expensive undertaking, but it really is the gain that you get from it is super powerful. And so what we say at Cold Spring School, AI doesn't replace great teaching. It really amplifies it. This is really fun. In 2nd grade is when our students get their one-to-one MacBooks. And so we decided this year we're going to give them a driver's license. And this is my teacher, 2nd grade teacher, Sarah Shaw Peter. And it has their picture on the front. And it's really making sure that they're responsible digital citizens. And so every one of my teachers teaches the Common Sense Media lessons. Once every student has gone through that series, then we invite the parents to come in. And of course, some parents can't come in, and that's okay. But we invite our parents to be the ones to issue the driver's license to their students. So it's a partnership between the school and community. And what I did is with the driver's license, I dropped it into the first iteration that she had created, and I dropped it into our strategic AI implementation plan. I said, let's make sure it aligns, right, to what we say we're doing. And there were some things that we saw in it that was like, okay, let's revise it. But again, it started with the human. You know, she created this, and then we dropped it in through ChatGPT with our AI implementation plan and say, identify any areas where we're not consistent in here with say what we're going to do that we're not doing. So going back, that is our implementation plan in a nutshell. Right here, this is if you haven't gone to Common Sense Media, the K2 curriculum is 13 lessons, they're 20 minutes each. The 3rd through 6th grade curriculum is 18 lessons, they're 20 minutes each as well. They're not long. We're committed to doing them all, right? That's part of the work that we do at Cold Spring. I took the course. I think it's great to tell your teachers like, hey, I took the hour-and-a-half course. I'm certified, right? And I think again, you have to lead by example in that space in all areas. And here's a bigger picture of the driver's license if you guys want to see it. And here's our sample policies and governance framework that we created. So if you're looking at some sample policies, F3 has some great ones out there. Small School Districts Association, they also created one that's tailored to small school districts. Our policy we adopted last year at this time, I'll bring it back to the board in the spring. You know, AI is moving really quickly. And so I told our board, I said, you know, I'm going to wait to update it now. I could update it now, but I'm going to wait to update it into the spring. But there's some sample policies if you want to check them out. By the way, that's my board president, right? And I remind my board all the time, this is my 9th year at Cold Spring School. And we all know the shelf life of a superintendent is 2.5 years. And I stay because I have a fantastic board, right? And when we have boards that know their lane and they stay out of the lane of management, we're able to do great work for our students. And this is our journey. And I think it's important. There is no correct order. Whatever order works for your district, that's what works. Like if you're like, you know, we're going to go with policy development first, go with policy development. You know your district, you know what the need is, and go with what the needs are for your district, and don't feel like there has to be this cookie cutter right or wrong way to create an implementation plan, because there is not. And then here's just some key takeaways that I just put on here, and I just talked about how governance matters, and right, and laying a foundation first is so essential. And then also this is just kind of a snapshot on October 14th. As you mentioned earlier, I serve on Access AI Task Force. I'll be giving a more in-depth presentation on how to create an AI implementation plan. Tracy King and I are presenting together at the AXA Women in Leadership Summit on some fun AI tools, like my fave right now, Lovable. So if you want to learn how to vibe code and create some fun apps, come join us. And there's a great opportunity here. AXA Region 16 is doing a Tequity Summit. I just wanted to highlight them as well. Here's a video link. KSBY did a news report on how we utilize Khan Academy and Adobe Express and create that integrated approach. Sometimes it helps just to see it. And it's I think a 5-minute news link that highlights the work we're doing at Cold Spring if you want to see what it looks like. Here's a great resource that I learned about most recently. It's called Teach AI Literacy. It's got a great tools in it if you're looking for some great tools and resources as well. So with that, ta-da! Any questions? Told you that was like speed dating.
Thank you. That was
Any
very
ahas?
informative.
You see some great faces. Aaron Walker's on there too. We use next generation math as well at Cold Spring School to move the needle. So thank you, Aaron Walker. It's a great tool if you haven't utilized it. If you need a support with math and personalizing math to meet the needs of students. You know, so it's not just it's not just Khan Academy or Freckle or next generation math. As we know, some kids respond well, and some kids are like, oh, I like Freckle right now. And then they're like, oh, I'm bored with it. Now I go to Khan, you know, that's okay. Got to be fluid, right? The districts that are AI first are the districts that are resilient and adaptable, right? All right. Well, thank you.
Amy, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And for everyone who would love to hear Amy speak more, I know Kim put her next webinar in the chat. You guys will also send a recording of the webinar that she just did and also a copy of the presentation. So you guys have reference for that. Real quick before we let you guys go, if you guys would like the book AI First, put your organization name in the chat and your email address, and we'll get it mailed over to you so you can get a copy. So
Oh, yay! I'll let Adam know.
Yeah.
Yay. You shout out.
Filiberto, that's for you. You asked.
Yep.
We're gonna give it to you. So make
Name
sure
and
you send it.
email address, and we'll get it mailed over. But with that, you guys, thank you for joining us on our Wednesday weekly webinar session. We'll see you guys back next week where we have the amazing Dr. Romero talking about how he is curbing his suspension and chronic absenteeism. If you guys have any questions, we'll stick around after the time. But if not, enjoy your Wednesday, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone.